How do you know that you are an Archon? How do you know that you are a reptilian or part of the Alpha Dracos, the Draconians? Okay. How do you know that you're a targeted individual, right? Okay. This is where it gets tricky, right? Just say for some of you who don't live into the plaza or who've never lived in the plaza, but you know something's off, you know that you've been gang stalked or you've been watched or followed, and it's not paranoia because you see these people on a daily and it's always the same person in a specific vehicle, or the same person on a police force who are supposed to protect and serve, or the same person in a store that's following you, or whoever it is, a neighbor down the street. How do you know that you're being followed? I guarantee you, if you take out your camera and you literally videotape what is going on around you, okay, and how the weird way that they act, this is a huge thing that they do it to you. So I would say watch them back, to the point where if you're an alpha draconian or an alpha reptilian, an archon, spirit, and you're actively just wicked in your soul and you feel yourself having to just carry, anger or heaviness or weakness or self-medicate or animosity or hostility and try to plot on someone's life and just really just try to bring them down, you're most likely a toxic archonic, draconian reptilian. And somebody asked me today, like, how do you know that you are, a target individual? And how do you know that someone's, an energy vampire, an archon, a reptilian, or alpha draco? Okay, how do you know? Take out your fucking camera and start fucking recording. Record the motherfuckers back. They will break into your home and they will fucking break into your sacred spaces and put secret cameras in your fucking sacred spaces. Okay? They will literally rage bait you to the point where you get out of your calm energy, and then they'll pull their phone out, record you, and then put it all over social media, send it to everyone that they know, or they will call a specific person who has ties to other people who knows that, it'll get around and it'll just be used against you, like the person who gossips or slanders. These are a type of monitoring spirit, okay, that you literally shouldn't have to put up with. This is a huge, like, draconian / reptilian. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are part of the bloodline. Now, in my case, okay, my mother was sent a fucking letter from the NWO in 2015. So my ex found this shit, and he was freaking the fuck out, and it's a huge reason why he ended up leaving this family, because he didn't want to deal with that shit. So he basically was like, fuck this. And he had fucking told me years later, as well as my ex, another Babalao, about the types of monitoring spirits and also energy vampires. So in this video, we are going to be speaking about reptilians, alpha draconians, their agendas against you. How do you know you're a targeted individual, and the types of plots and plans that they use on your life, as well as gang stalkers and other intimidation techniques. So first, we're going to start at the top, the hierarchy. So we're going to start with the NWO, the New World Order. People who are in positions of power, or not necessarily positions of power, but people who fucking have influence and who think they run shit. And then there's people who actually do run shit in positions of power. Okay. People like George W. Bush, the Kennedys, the Kardashians, people in positions of power. These are types of the elite connected to the NWO that, they have ties and they get whatever the fuck they want. You know what I'm saying? Because they've sold out. They're sellouts. When you sell out, this type of spirit, okay, not necessarily a demon that everyone thinks it is, but it's an entity, okay? And this type of entity, okay, that these people sell out to, which they take, there's several ways. There's usually a CEO or somebody from a secret society in some cases, whether it's a cult leader, but they call themselves a pastor, or they call it the organization a church, but it's really a cult, it's a secret society, or a Freemason, right? Or a member of the elite who's connected to the NWO government, okay, to the higher reptilian / draconian star race. So these people recruit people underneath them, people who are wanting popularity, influence over the masses, okay? People who are usually wicked like them and have one agenda, which is to get famous and rich and famous fast, and to influence masses. So what they do is they take the entity that is already within their bloodline as a generational curse, if you will, and they do a ritual. Depending on what type of ritual, it's different rituals, but it's usually blood offerings, to the point where if you look up, and I can guarantee you this is true, Bohemian Grove in California. Now this is one example of a secret society, okay? The Bohemian Grove in California, very wicked agenda, connected to the NWO, connected to the higher ups, the elite. They will impregnate homeless people. They will take these homeless women to their, what in the old days used to call concentration camps, if you will, but they will be, some of them in the United States, whether it's in Texas, New Mexico, California, so on and so forth. And it's scattered. Some of them they will take to the underground bunkers. Some of them are just out, you know, in different parts of the world, whether it's in Florida, like I said, Texas, fucking Europe, wherever, okay? But there's positions like CEOs, elite members, you know, members of Freemasons, as well as some military people are in it, some aren't, okay? Some doctors are in it, some aren't. Some firefighters are in it, some aren't. Some cops are in it, some aren't. Some attorneys are in it, some aren't. It just depends. To the point where they will recruit others, okay, to spread this entity or spirit, if you will. And then what they do is they make that person participate in the ritual, okay? And when the homeless person has the baby, they throw the baby as a fucking blood offering sacrifice into the Bohemian Grove fire. This is one example. Another example is at Freemason lodges, to where it's groups of men. Women are not allowed there, unless you are a homeless fucking woman and you are there for some sort of blood offering ritual, to where you or your baby will not walk out alive. To the point where they will offer the baby or you as a blood sacrifice because you're homeless. So basically they prey on, you know, people in lower positions, usually people who are awakened or people who tell the truth or people who, you know, families sold out for them. Like, families will join in to these secret societies. They will sign their name in blood. They will participate in these rituals, and then they will then in return get elite status, which is unlimited paid vacations, a paid house in the suburbs, so on and so forth. I mean, there's just so many things in these secret societies. If you are a targeted individual, you know what the fuck I'm saying, okay? If you've ever been attacked and have been in a position to where, you know, you start to notice that that same vehicle starts to follow you everywhere you go, down the street you live on, okay? And you're seeing the same individual just keep following you wherever the fuck you go, okay? This is a form of gang stalking, to where the elite sets this shit up. They already know that you're a tracked, targeted individual, the members of the AI government, okay? Whether it's the FBI, the CIA, even cops, firefighters, even that person in the family that was offered that contract that signed away in blood. They could have been a Freemason wife, they could be a Freemason, or they just could have needed money, and then boom, it was just like they were selected by the members of the elite or secret society. And then you start getting preyed on, you start getting, every little thing. It's like they pick on you for it. You'll get bullied. You'll get triangulated on. You'll get verbally attacked. Your things will start going missing. Your kids will get targeted. You'll get targeted. And slowly they will target you to the point where they start closing down and taking away specific aspects and creating obstacles in these, and roadblocks in your money, in your health, in your relationships. They start turning people against you to the point where, this was all pre-orchestrated and planned. How do you know that this was? Take a deep look in it. When you are born, your caregivers give you a birth certificate with your government name on it, which gets registered into the hospital, okay, where the elite is all connected in. They track you there. Then a few days later, the government mails out your private government social security number into the mail to your caregivers for you. This is how the government tracks everyone. Now, there's not a lot of targeted individuals. There's only a select few. How do you know that you are being targeted and monitored? It's when you walk into a fucking room, whether it's at, in your job, in a meeting, in your family's fucking house, in a grocery store, in a mall, and specific members of the elite, you could just fucking tell. Your energy shifts the room, and then their energy monitors it. You could feel it, okay? Especially if you are awakened. These people will try to set you up. They'll try to rage bait you. They'll get really fucking quiet. They'll listen to everything that you say. Then later on, they'll put it on a Baker Act report and put you in the hospital to make you look crazy, to make you, have this villain persona and be like, oh, I told you about him, or I told you about her, or they do it, okay, because you are, being, yes, tracked and targeted, but they are in secret competition, or they're jealous to the point where, they do the shit, and then they fucking use your spiritual gifts and say, oh no, this person has a mental illness and she's paranoid, and then they completely twist the narrative to where your powers could be used against you and you could look like you're crazy just because you like candles, just because you have psychic gifts. And this is what the government doesn't like. If you don't know, go look at the movie Push, made in 2009. Okay, a lot of people with psychic abilities since like the era of the Nazis and all of that shit happened in like 1940s have been tracked and targeted and have tried to been drugged or imprisoned or killed off or just, fucked with in their lives to the point where their children are also targeted. And this is fucking everywhere, all over the world. Okay? And like they will tell signs in fucking movies. And I've been saying this in my videos to the point where the fifth element, okay, if you have psychic fucking powers like Mila Jovovich in that movie, and if you have, huge, profound powers in your otherworldly, or you're the opposite starseed realm of alpha Dracos and alpha reptilians, you're going to be targeted because they've come to planet to corrupt and to do maliciousness to the point where if you're a Pleiadian, an Arcturan, a Lyran, an Atlantean, an Orion, a Lemurian, they're going to target you and fuck with you, okay? Because you are the opposite starseed, and the reptilians and alpha Dracos blew up Atlantis and Lemuria. It was a huge starseed war. For some of you, you could have been born into being a targeted individual because someone along in your bloodline had a generational curse latched onto them from a lower vibrational entity spirit, or they made a blood pact with a very twisted, dark entity, and they put that entity on you to where you feel like you're cursed because they tried to shut down a road or specific roads in your love life, your finances. It could be a lot of things, okay? Generational curses, if you are the one to break a generational curse, okay, you will know that you are chosen, okay? Generational curses are passed down from generation to generation to where people are trained to hate you. They have hatred in them, animosity, they carry heaviness, anxiety, depression, and that goes down and gets passed down hereditary. Those emotions and even diseases and a line of thinking, okay? A narrow way of thinking, a specific way of thinking, all of this can be part of a generational curse. Okay, if you know that you are a chosen one and you are made to break this curse, the other members in your bloodline are going to come and try to fuck with you. Okay, so you can't break the curse, and they will try to attack you on a daily. Okay, generational curses. If you're a generational curse breaker, the members who are cursed, who don't know that they're being affected deeply by this curse, they're going to try to come up against you, okay? And they're going to try to take away your light, your happiness, and close down specific roads and create problems daily in your life. To where you have to learn how to be solitary and be fucking intellectually and emotionally independent and intellectually and emotionally intelligent. Usually it is the people who are unawakened, unaware, basic, and who are filled with pure animosity, hatred, and who hate bond on you, and who do that lower vibrational shit like, drugs, or sucking your chi life force energy, like energy vampirism, talking shit about you, slander, putting a false narrative on your persona or on your character to where, sweeping things under the rug, abusing you. You're not going to go see a chosen one, a spiritual warrior, a person of high vibrations and light and truth and alignment and love go out and fuck someone's life up randomly, and just because they feel like it, because they're fucking, demented, or they're affected by a generational curse and they don't realize it. If you are a generational curse breaker, you will be targeted for your light, for your alignment, for your emotional intelligence, for your intellectuality. You're a very gifted, beyond genius level, okay, of intelligence. And you have this spiritual intelligence, you have this innate ability to read people, you have an inner compass of a lie detector in you, you have a level of claircognizance. If you are a highly, tracked or a targeted individual, you will be singled out on purpose. Members of the elite, as well as the people they get to in your circle, will be turned against you to the point where they will isolate you and alienate you. They will close down your roads to abundance. They will create misfortunes in every aspect of your life, and then they will blame you. And then this is what they do to try to off you, because they don't want you to have gifts. They don't want you to go against the matrix. They don't want you to not be controlled, and to, they want to control you, and they want to push you into the matrix because you already know too much. So when you know too much, they want to off you, or they want to get you to off yourself. So they start producing blockages, obstacles, and problems every day. They're very malicious. They're very malevolent, and they're intrusive, okay? And they don't have their own goals or their inner light other than what is in the generational curse bloodline or in the archonic, reptilian, NWO, or draconia energy. To the point where they will spread wickedness, and they will do this to everyone that you all know. Okay, so they will get to your high school friends. They will try to shut your bank accounts down, your business down. They'll target your car. They'll try to target your physical things. They'll try to get your kids turned against you. They will try to, and then they'll try to all be, turn it on you and be like, no, I didn't do anything. You did this. And then they'll gaslight you, and then they'll try, it'll go in for your mind. But you have to be, innately psychic and just emotionally intelligent, as well as spiritually, a spiritual genius and a spiritual warrior, to where, you could see through this, to where, like, if you are a TI, you're most likely being tracked and targeted because you are different, and you do have gifts, and you do have light, and you do have healing abilities, to the point where these other archonic, spiritual parasite, astral parasite beings, they don't have the light, they don't have the abilities. So this is why, they're attracted to your light, because they're dark, and they're trying to pull you down with them so you can't succeed. And this is what I know about being a TI. So I don't let it bother me anymore, but I will speak on it. I will keep speaking on about it. And then they will try to put, like, other people's illness on you, and then destiny swap you to make you look like you have that person's illness, and then make that person look like they're, in your place. And then that's when things for them get fun and they think that they win. So if you're a TI, like for instance, I've noticed this black Ford 250, okay? It was in Orlando when I was there. In July, it started following me from John Young and Sand Lake to Destination and John Young onto, and just sit there and watch me. This motherfucker would sit there and watch me. Then, like at the Wawa right there. Then if I'd go into the Wawa and I'd be on foot, after the whole Universal, Allied Universal security guards that I rejected for sex because they were targeting me, trying to get sex from me, to which I said no many times. They had men from their parking lot in the plaza go and follow me because they were angered that I said no, because they're used to getting what they want, but this goddess incarnate didn't give them that. I didn't give them what they wanted, so it angered them, and they were entitled, and they used their positions, I'm not even going to say power, but they used their positions to stalk me and harass me and then try to and drug me and burn me and have me followed, okay? So if you're a TI and if you're on foot and you don't have a home, it's going to get progressively worse because they will start spreading lies and rumors about you or pulling up background reports about you and then showing people, and then people will get a negative, narrow mindset about you, and they'll be like, oh, well, that person deserves this then. Somehow they'll convince that person or these groups of people that you deserve this. And then when they all figure out that, okay, she deserves this for whatever fucking false narrative, they put onto you and your persona and your character, then that's when, they start playing the game to the point where, wherever you go, you'll see that same fucking Ford. It was always a black Ford 250. Then I would see a black Volkswagen, and then I would see like a bunch of other cars. And it just got so bad to where like I started walking away from my car house, my car house. I would start walking away from the plaza, and I would have to get baby wipes, okay, from a CVS, the only CVS locally that gave, through my insurance, baby wipes, okay, through my insurance, like I said, to where that one was on OBT. So I'd have to walk all the way from John Young and West Sand Lake all the way to OBT. So then one of the girls who worked with my ex at his store started lying and probably saying, oh, she's going to OBT for drugs. But no, I was going to OBT because that was where the only CVS was that sold through my insurance the baby wipes. And I was living on, in my car and then on a stairwell, to the point where I needed baby wipes so I could put this like on the baby wipes and like, clean myself every day and night. So I tried to walk to the one on iDrive from Destination Parkway and John Young, that CVS, but my insurance was not, they didn't take that whole baby wipe insurance thing there. So I had to go, unfortunately, to OBT, and sometimes I would walk there in the rain, and then they would have these people follow me on scooters with backpacks and these red like key ring tags around their necks, as well as when I would go back and walk back from OBT, get back on West Sand Lake Road, going towards John Young and then passing John Young and then going towards Universal Boulevard and iDrive, and then walking down Universal Boulevard, because I used to live in 2 hotels out there, the ESA as well as the one near Icon Park, the Castle Hotel. I used to live out there in 2020 as well as La Quinta. So sometimes I would just go past the Ferris wheel and go past Icon Park because it felt like home to me, because that's when I lived with my daughters a long time ago. And then I'd also walk towards the Rosen, because I lived at the Rosen on iDrive, and then I would walk all the way down Westwood Boulevard to another ESA, not the sports complex one, but the one before that. So, and then there's a Denny's and a McDonald's right next to each other on Destination Parkway and iDrive right there. So right in between that, it's like a chocolate factory. And last year in 2025, it said Chocolate of the Gods with a huge brain on it. This, okay, was used by the government to trigger me when they were putting the drugs into my food from that Denny's on I Drive, as well as the Denny's on John Young Parkway that is now permanently closed, to basically have me go and be like, oh, so and so, Geo and Jonah are sex gods, to the point where it was a mix of targeted individual, like archonic secret government shit, as well as my psychic gifts, my powers and my visions and my claircognizance, knowing and seeing what the fuck these coaches and team leads were doing to a fucking higher up Santera who had ties to gangs in that parking lot, okay? Because it was all connected to where these people were very young, and I mean like in their 20s. I think Jonah and Geo were actually in their 30s, but the other two, I'm not going to say their names, they were younger. And these people had swags like you wouldn't even believe, to the point where, and two of them were really, really, really good looking. But in order to get those positions, they would have to, eat this coach out at Walmart to fucking gain that position. To where, like, when they got those positions, okay, the cameras and the people of Walmart security who ran the cameras, they were taking these higher ups and letting them watch fucking cameras and tapes all around the plaza. So that camera system was connected to the Denny's right there that just got permanently shut down, to PetSmart, to McDonald's outside of Walmart, to Marathon, to Panda Express. And it was a huge surveillance system. Plus, they have all those surveillance cameras in the Walmart parking lot, to where crooked tow truck drivers could be there, crooked gang members were there at night, but they had Allied Universal security, to the point where it's a third-party security company, and they're still there, Allied Universal, to the point where they would follow you and they would start having the crooked tow truck drivers, okay, if they didn't like you, to where for some reason they never towed my car. My friend at the time, Hassan, towed my car, and I was never in the Walmart parking lot, but I would sit there and watch these people. They were just so wicked. It was like the Walmart security, okay? They would have tow truck drivers just come randomly even into the restaurant store parking lot and just tow cars away. I started leaving my car. I was like, fucking tow it, I don't care. My spirit guides were like, no, because your stuff's in there, we're going to protect it. My spirit animals and my spirit guides were like, no, they wouldn't let them tow it, to where they were getting angry because a lot of people wanted me to leave the plaza because they were jealous. I was pulling. They were trying to make me into be someone I wasn't, like trying to make me say things from the drugs that were in my, food, that they put in my food. And I know that they put drugs in my food because they knew that my daughters were living in the car with me on and off. And they were trying to get me to go test negatively on that test. And I had already had a urine test they were trying to get me to test positively, but I would keep testing negatively. And so when they got this dude from Denny's who was connected to crooked cops, like Iskandar and Mena, they tried to have him stealth me, to where when it was reported, the crime was reported, they wanted to take me to the lab. So those drugs that him and they were giving to me in my hash browns, in my sausage links, in my bacon, and my pancakes, and in my daughter's, food like that, they wanted it to come out positive, so that would give them, an alternative to take me and put me in the system and put my kids by the system. But it never worked. It never transpired because at the time I was trying to protect my fucking original boyfriend, Hamza. They said that if his DNA was in me after Jamin did this to me, he would have to be fingerprinted and interviewed, and I didn't want to cause that havoc and that upheaval for him, or that embarrassment, or him to potentially lose his job, so I protected him, so I told them no. And then the reptilian Denny's, what's it called? The reptilian, sorry, something's in my contacting on. The archonic, draconian, reptilian CEO of McDonald's kept saying, like, oh, she's sharp, but they kept trying to set me up, to the point where I knew what they were doing. I knew it was some shady shit that they were doing to me, and I kept fucking, like, evading it. And they didn't like me being so smart and highly intelligent, to the point where She was like, oh, she's sharp. Like, she fucking knows this game. Like, she knows what the fuck we're doing. And I knew. Because I saw and I sat there and I watched these people in my car every day. And it was so fucking weird. Like, everyone who pulled up on the row of, okay, it's like Restaurant Store Orlando. The old Denny's, they shut that down. They're building something now. Okay, my friend told me, who works at the Walmart. He said, because I haven't, they're building something like right in the middle of the restaurant store parking lot. It's like another fucking franchise or business. But like everyone used to fucking park there, okay? And then like the people who would do like the donuts in the parking lot, like the car clubs would come and do car meets, and it was so fun. It was like adrenaline rushing. But the dirty cops want to control everything because they're being fucking controlled by the elites and the higher ups above them. And then they're being controlled and they're being controlled, and it's like a hierarchy. It's like a triangle, It's a fucking triangle to the point where like if you're fucking just like a sheep and you're spiritually unawakened, and it's not your fault. That's just, you're in the matrix and you're going along with things and you're trying to fit in and be cool, and you're too afraid to stand alone and say no, and too afraid to, be solitary or whatever, intellectual. Okay, that's you. But once you really fucking start to fucking like monitor these people back that fucking do this shit to you, you start fucking really seeing how the world really fucking works. Okay? To the point where like I almost had all this shit fucking on blast, but then the undercover shady ass cops had these two wicked like heroin crackhead addicts, James and Annabelle, start stealing my phones and breaking my phones when I was sleeping, and then stealing them and then putting them into the Walmart. Because in Walmart you could sell your phone for like, if it's broken, you only get like $5 or $7 or $10. And so they would go into that fucking system, and then they would go into my phone, repair that shit because there was a repair guy, and then they would have like my emails, my passwords, to where like they shut down my fucking old YouTube channel, Priestess of the Ancients and Goddess of the Ancients. I had two of them actually. I think it was like Priestess of Ancients and Magical Moon, or Magic Moon Priestess, and they shut down my email addresses tied to those, okay? And this was right around the time when I was working at Bubba after Wendy's, because I had gotten originally the Wendy's job, and then when I saw my friend JDO, I was like, okay, he's hot, like, and I'm totally not gonna work at Wendy's, like, I'm just gonna get, the Bubba job. But then by that time, his ex had falsely like reported him and just did some shit to him at like her apartment, to where like, he got into trouble. And then anyways, he kept making himself known in front of me. He wanted me, this is for like months, like making himself seen and trying to just kind of like wag his swag like around me, to the point where I was just like, okay, after they put like the drugs in my food, at this point I was just like, Hamza and me weren't working. Jamin had disrespected me, and then Hamza was trying to like make me hang myself for his amusement and his whole fucking staff's amusement, with like the crooked ass customer service, black girls who were racist against me and who had targeted me because they were jealous, and the cops who I rejected, as well as many other men from Allied Universal and just different men from the plaza who knew I lived in my car, who were trying to ask me for sex, and it was a lot of men. And then they saw, after I was, done with Hamza, and after Jamin stealthed me, they saw that I pulled Jadiel. Jadiel, he was the one that really protected me from Jamin, and who basically saved me from Hamza, and basically who saved me from a lot of people in that plaza, just by being around his energy, and him and me just like forming together and having that bond, to where like, and then he ended up having to leave and telling me the truth. He was like, they're on alert for you, I have to leave town. And at the time, he had to get somebody from his family from Ohio or whatever to get him money to go up there. I didn't want to go to Ohio because I don't know anyone there. So I was like, okay, you go. I'm going to fucking stay here. He's like, you're going to fucking stay here? Because we were supposed to go to Illinois together. And I didn't want to go to Illinois. He wanted to. That didn't fucking end up happening because Vincent alerted fucking his mother, who was also a high priestess like me. Then they started fucking doing like alerting these pimps who also had ties to like the Brazilians, the Jamaicans, and then just other types of people who are in, you know, witchcraft. And then they started throwing that shit on me. And Jeremy was like, okay, you don't want to go to Ohio? I'm getting out of town. They're on alert for you. I'm just like, fuck. To the point where, like, I didn't want to go to Ohio because I knew a guy named Jordan there, and his mother had done some witchcraft on me back in 2020, and I didn't want any ties to Ohio. But he had asked me to go and leave town with him, and I was like, Jeremy, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, my kids are still in the state. I can't leave. So we're now looking back, it probably would have been a really good idea if I would have went with him, but, you know, I didn't. So then he ended up going, and then, you know, his fucking girlfriend, and then the girl, who he was staying in the dude's hotel with, his sister, ended up fucking forming together with a crooked coach at Babaku's named Kiki, and doing witchcraft, and then getting the cops on him to where, like, I don't even think he made it to Ohio, to where they pulled him back into Orange County. He went into the system for like 3 months. When I came back to my hometown, he hit me up on my phone, and he hit me up with like my government name, and nobody knows that name except for like the people at Babaku's. And so I knew it was him, and I tested him. I was like, is this really you? And so he passed a series of tests. I was like, is this really you? Because I didn't know if it was like an Archon trying to pull me back, trying to have me fucking hang myself like a pawn on the chess game, trying to have me, you know, pull me into Walmart or drug me, or who knows, it could have been worse. It could have been like Rosalie Hale in Twilight, to where she got fucking gangbanged by like a group of men out in the street. But luckily I was protected, to the point where luckily that did not happen to me, because I would probably have been dead. But my spirit team, you know, they protected me. They were like, we're not gonna let this shit happen to you. So he ended up getting arrested, and then when I ended up coming back to my hometown, I think it was like I think it was in September I heard from him, because he went away in June. So like he was in there for like 3 months. And I was so happy to hear from him, and so happy to hear that he was safe and that he was out. And he's doing good now. He got away from Vanson, and he got away from fucking his sisters, these wicked witches, and their mother, who I blocked on social media, who like literally tried to turn like the whole plaza against me with candles. They tried to like keep him like basically hostage in that hotel room. It was fucking a horrible situation, to the point where like I remember when Vincent opened that hotel room door, it wasn't just like Jeremy saved me from Jamin and all that shit, but it's like I saved Jeremy too, because when I pulled him out of that fucking hotel room, he was like this bubbly, exuberant, free-spirited personality, to where like we just completely vibed and connected like two magnets, to the point where he was just like opening up, telling me everything. He had this magnetic laugh, this aura, this personality, and you know, he was like, you know, told me everything that you know, the people in the hotel were doing to him. And I just remember seeing this fucking dark candle that was burning on the hotel counter, and I'm like, oh shit, to the point where like I knew. And also Vanity tried to put something in his drawers, like his boxer brief things, his boxers. So I don't know what they're called. I think they're called boxers, to where like I had to like take it off of him. And being a high priestess, you know, defeating a witch, when I took this off of him, like he was free. So she tried to trap him with this thing, and then him being with me, like my power set him free from that situation. He was able to leave. He didn't want to be there. He was like, I don't want to be here. I don't know why the fuck I'm here. And he looked like he was being held captive with magic, like my ex, who was just held captive for like 8 years by like these dark karmic fucking witches, to the point where I recognized the same power that had Jeremy trapped in there with them, but I set Jeremy free. And it was just my exuberance, my love, and my high priestess abilities, and my psychic powers, and the spiritual status that I am, that was able to set him free from that really dark situation. He's doing so much better now. He's not connected to those people. You know, they don't have any type of fucking control or power or reigns over him anymore. He got away from Destiny, thank the gods. She was, you know, friends with their mother, and she was doing black magic on him. And then Vanity and Vincent was doing black magic on him to feed off of his energy, because he was a free spirit and he was light. He was a dark divine masculine, but he had a lot of light, a lot of, he was enigmatic, charismatic, just firecracker like personality, to the point where, like, if you know Jeremy, you're automatically magnetically attracted to his personality, whether you're a female or a male. You want to be around him all the time. That's the type of energy he carries. It's just in some of us were just born with this, to the point where I had to, I took him and I got him out of that situation. So I'm just really happy energetically that I was able to set him free. So I feel like maybe the life purpose of me going there was to help him, because I know if I never would have pulled him out of the hotel room, they would have been burning candles down on him. He would have been miserable. He probably would have ended up. I just remember, like, he was freaking out one night. It was the night when the cops got me and my daughters the hotel room, and unknowingly, I was drugged in my food, and Jeremy was in that hotel room across from that very hotel room that they had gotten me and my daughters. They planted Jeremy in front of me, and then they planted, with his crew at the time, which is not his crew anymore, and then they planted James and Annabelle on the stairwell right next to my hotel room on Equity Row. Everyone knows, who stays out there in that ESA, that hotel in Equity Row, next to the ESA Commodity Circle, Equity Row, you have to put $100 down deposit, okay? So a lot of people end up going to Commodity Circle, which is closer to that piece of shit's job who worked in Chrysler Jeep Dodge, who first cornered me and pressured me for sex the very first time, to which I said no. And this is when I just had my daughters, and I had come from Sanford, because I was living in Sanford at like 3 hotels, okay? And then before that, I was in Fern Park in a hotel. And then before that, we had moved around a lot, to the point where, I was in Orlando before that. So I had, but it was a different part of Orlando. It was like near like Robinson Street. It was like the hood. So like, if you know the hood, you know the fucking hood. Okay. So like, we had moved around a lot because we were getting witchcrafted attacked. We were getting secularly witchcraft. It's called secular witchcraft. And just a lot of people were trying to throw magic on me, to the point where, I was able to find my way to my real twin flame on John Young Parkway. And I was able to set JDO free from the magic too, as well. So everything happens for a reason, right? I'm going to be doing some cord cutting shorts in my next videos.